Avoid court disputes after purchasing your dream house. Harare City Council is facing mounting legal pressure over its controversial approval of cluster housing projects. A series of high court cases have exposed alleged corruption, procedural irregularities, and backdoor land deals in the capital's upmarket suburbs. Residents are pushing back against the local authorities' plan for cluster houses, worried that these developments will turn their exclusive neighborhoods into crowded areas, eroding their low-density status. These projects, which Harare claims are part of the local authorities' adopted densification policy, are currently underway in posh suburbs like Borodale, Mount Pleasant, Newlands, Greendale, and Highlands. Massive constructions are already in progress on plots measuring from 2,000 square meters. Residents have voiced concern about dozens of classified adverts in local newspapers with notices of land acquisitions and construction permits. Many of these are for high-density housing projects that residents claim contrast with the area's low-rise, single-family nature. Legal experts say most of the ongoing disputes stem from alleged violations of the Regional Town and Country Planning Act, Chapter 29 to 12, particularly Section 19. This section lets people object to proposed land developments. It also says that local authorities need to give proper notice and allow residents to voice their concerns before moving forward with any projects. Residents argue that the Harare City Council and land developers are bypassing these procedures. While the development will bring more housing, residents argue it also means a significant population increase. Yet there is no corresponding plan to improve utilities and infrastructure, such as roads, water, and electricity. Residents fear this will exacerbate existing challenges and further strain resources. The city's aggressive push for densification and commercial redevelopment has increasingly found itself under legal fire. Residents are taking both developers and the Harare City Council to court for allegedly violating planning laws and threatening neighborhood status. In a recent setback for the city's planning team, High Court Judge Paul Musathu ruled on April 4th that a housing project in Greystone Park is totally illegal. The judge ruled that the developer, Dashway Investments, had commenced construction without an environmental impact assessment certificate or development permit. The High Court has halted any further work at stand 663 Greystone Park, 7 Sudley Close, due to planning rule violations raised by the Borodale Residents Association. The Borodale Residents and Ratepayers Association recently filed an urgent application in the High Court to halt the construction of cluster flats at number 949 Sugarloaf in Glen Lorne. A lawsuit has been filed against businessman Leonard Mukumba, who's building 3 apartment blocks for 8 families each. BRA members pointed out that the project goes against the area's low density zoning and is moving forward without proper consultation or environmental checks. Trauma Center Hospital, one of Harare's top emergency medical facilities, is taking action in the High Court to block a controversial office park project in Borodale. They argue that this development puts public safety and patient care at risk. Their urgent application challenges a permit given to Kondav property developers by the City of Harare's urban planning director. Residents have submitted tons of petitions to Harare City Council about illegal cluster developments, but they feel ignored. This has sparked worries about bias and shady deals behind the scenes. Residents of Inverary Road in Pomona recently submitted a petition to HCC, objecting to the construction of 7 duplex cluster units on Stand 104. They raised concerns about the lack of legal notification and procedural irregularities. However, in a response dated February 3, 2025, HCC's Acting Director of Urban Planning, Samuel Nyabezi, upheld the permit approval without mentioning the required notifications or addressing the residents' main worries. Residents feel this is a clear sign of ignoring proper procedures, where their concerns are heard but quickly brushed aside, raising doubts about how approvals are handled. Robert Muchiasira from the Borodale Residents and Ratepayers Association is really worried about the lack of services to support the growing population in the neighborhood. Mutiasera pointed out that the way permits are issued to developers raises serious questions, leading residents to seek legal action. A recent incident at the corner of Harare Drive and Leamington Road in Greystone Park revealed a worrying pattern. An industrial building went up without following the proper steps, and it looks like some local authority employees are turning a blind eye to these illegal activities. Control officers and building inspectors have become a law unto themselves by overriding procedure and exceeding their mandates of duty. In a written response to Truth Diggers, Harare City Council defended the cluster housing boom, claiming it is part of a long-term densification strategy aimed at addressing a 500,000-unit housing shortfall. The local authority acknowledged awarding permits to what it called a huge list of private players, but refused to grant Truth Diggers access to the registry of approved so-called huge list of private players. The council authority dismissed corruption allegations, saying cluster houses are aimed at anyone who can pay because they're built by private investors looking to make a profit, said Acting Town Clerk Moyo, while city authorities defend the densification program as a long-term solution to Zimbabwe's urban housing crisis, aiming to decongest overcrowded high-density suburbs. Residents argue the policy has been hijacked by profit-driven developers. Council officials initially pitched the densification plan as a way to tackle housing shortages and offer affordable homes to those on the city's growing waiting list. In an interview with Truth Diggers, Harare City Council Mayor Jacob Mafum defended the densification policy, encouraged the building of cluster homes, saying it is a less expensive option, but in practice, the projects have nothing to do with affordability or public housing, critics say. Properties in these new cluster developments are going for crazy prices, ranging from $150,000 to $750,000 each, way out of reach for most home seekers. Residents are really frustrated that there's no quota for those on the municipal housing list. Instead, a willing buyer, willing seller model seems to be in charge, leading them to believe the council is hiding elite land deals, while city officials help well-connected investors get ahead. The rise of cluster housing projects has sparked a strong community response. Residents in places like Borrowdale, Greendale, Mount Pleasant, and Highlands are banding together to form local groups that challenge these questionable developments. They're filing petitions, pushing for transparency in planning, and even taking legal action against the Harare City Council. It's all about standing up for their neighborhoods. One group, the Montgomery Road and Surrounds Residents Association, formed to fight against the wave of cluster housing popping up on their street. "We had to come together because the city isn't looking out for us anymore," shared one resident. The irregularities surrounding cluster housing projects have also come under scrutiny at official levels. During his testimony at the Harare Commission of Inquiry earlier this year, former City Council Housing Director Admore Nakairo was taken aback by the surge of cluster houses. He pointed out that the municipality hasn't allocated any land for such developments in the last 7 years. As legal battles heat up and residents unite, Harare's future is uncertain. The ongoing debate over cluster housing in Harare reveals a tangled web of corruption, bribery, and the clash between urban planning and community rights. Harare is full of scammers, land barons and fraudsters, and openly corrupt, entitled and arrogant city council officials. Don't buy any property that will end up in a legal dispute. Fraudsters and land barons are building clusters in areas like Borrowdale, Highlands, Greystone Park to lure unsuspecting potential buyers. Don't trust anyone with your investments. ZimbabweTraders.com encourages buyers to do extensive research and to engage a property conveyancer before making any property purchase in Harare. Visit ZimbabweTraders.com and find a rated and reviewed conveyancer today.